All right, welcome to Tech Teacher Support. I'm Chris, and today we're going to focus on getting your Google Apps for Education installed and set up and organized on your iPad. So we just did a previous video on how to do this on an iPhone, and so now we want to focus on the iPad, which is very similar but has some small differences. And so we have our bullet points over here, and I just wanted to go through those real quick, and then we'll switch over to our iPad and we'll show you how it's done. So thank you for joining us, and here we go. Number one, many students use their tablets, phones, random devices for their distance learning, whatever they have available at home. And for most students and teachers, their iPad is by far the most powerful computer they own, much more powerful than a Chromebook. So what we want to make sure is that we can do our distance learning just as easy on our iPad as we can on any other device. So we're going to set that up. Number three here is we want to make sure that our tools are ready before class starts. So we're a little familiar with them. We know how they work. We're signed in. We're ready to go. So we're not trying to do this on the fly. So we're going to use the App Store on the iPad to download three main Google apps. We're going to do Google Drive, Google Classroom, and Gmail. We're going to get those all installed and signed in with our school account. And finally, number five there is we're going to organize those. So I'm going to show you how I organize my iPad with education and Google Apps. And again, number six, if you want more in-depth tutoring or some more information on this, Tech Teacher Support does offer tutoring classes and one-on-one and professional development on all of these subjects. So you can go to our website, techteachersupport.com, and you can contact us there, and we will set up a class, whether it's virtual or one-on-one downtown, and we'll figure that out. So here we go. I'm going to switch over to the iPad and show you how all this works. So let's click this button there. There we go. And so you see right on my screen is my iPad. And at the moment, I have it set up for all of my personal use. So I have my news and my sketching and my business things on here. But if I swipe over to this screen, this is where all of my education apps live. So this is like school mode, and then over here is like home mode. So we're going to go into that a little bit at the end of the video on how to organize that, but that's just how I basically have my iPad organized. And what I want to do is add my Google Apps onto my iPad, because my school uses Google Classroom, uses Gmail, uses Google Apps for Education. So I want to make sure that we're all ready to go. So the very first step is you need to go to the Apple App Store. That's where we're going to find all of our apps. And that's on the bottom of my screen. I'll highlight it for you. I have my App Store right down here in my dock. You can also find it. I have it, of course, in my Apple folder. There's my App Store. And of course, you could do a search for it. Let me show you how to do that. If you pull down and just type in App Store, there it is. So I'm going to click on that. And we're going to head off to the App Store. Now here's the Apple App Store, and this is of course every app that is made for the iPad, which are tens and hundreds of thousands of apps. So we are going to use the search command to find the very first app, which is Google Drive. That's the app we want to do first. I always do Google Drive first because that's the main hub, and then everything else kind of feeds off of Google Drive. So let's do that one first. So down here in the bottom right, there is a search button. So I'm going to click on search, and I'm going to tap in the search bar up here, and I'm going to type in Google Drive and hit search. And now what you see is not only do you get Google Drive, but you get almost all of the Google apps right here on the screen. And as you can see, there are a ton of Google apps. So you will download them as you need them. But for now, we want Google Drive. And Google Drive is in the upper left here. And I'll highlight that, Google Drive. And beside my Google Drive, you see a little cloud icon. And let me zoom in on this. That means that I've already downloaded the app before, and I need to download it again from the cloud. So let's find an app that I have not purchased. Oh, here's a good one. Google Photos. So as you can see, my Google Photos, it says Get. It might say Get for you, but if you've gotten the app before, you will see that cloud. So again, I'm going to show you that cloud over here on Google Drive. Okay. If you want, you can click on the actual Google Drive here, and that will give you some more information about Google Drive. So I can click on that, and we can see reviews, we can read about it a little, we can see some screenshots. Perfect. I'm going to click my little cloud icon, and that is going to download Google Drive from Apple's cloud. So let's tap that, and you see it start to spin, and I can zoom in on that for you. So what it's doing is it's connecting to the Apple servers, it's pulling down the Google Drive application, it's sticking it on your iPad, and this final part here is it's installing it. So it's putting all of the files where they need to be, and here in a second it will switch back to open. All right, and there we are, the open button. So the open button lets you know that it's actually on your iPad now, and instead of, getting it or downloading it, now you can just open it. So let's check and see where this app went to, and we'll look at it. So I'm going to hit the home button on my iPad. It's going to take me back to my screen, and I don't see Google Drive here. Where's Google Drive? Well, Apple always installs your apps on page 2. So if we flip over here, there it is. There is our Google Drive. This is the last app on our screen. And you know what? Before I tap on it and set it up, because we're in the App Store, let's get the other 2 apps that we need, and that is Google Classroom and Gmail. Those are going to be the 3 main Google apps that you're going to use. And like I said, there's a bunch of other ones that you may need as we go, but let's start with those 3. So I'm going to go back to my App Store by clicking the App Store here. And then I'm going to go back to the search, and I'm going to click up here, and I'm going to say Google Classroom. And there we go. This is the very first one up there, and it has a little cloud beside it. So let me show you. Right here is Google Classroom. There's our little cloud. I'll click on Google Classroom just to bring you into the app a little bit here. There's some screenshots and some reviews and learn more about it, but we know this is the app we want. So again, I'm going to click that little cloud icon, and away we go. It is now pulling this app down from the cloud and installing it right here onto our iPad. And while we're waiting for this, you can multitask. We are going to hit the search button and do one last search for Google Gmail. All right. And perfect. There it is. It is again the top app on the screen right here. Well, actually, the top app is an advertisement. These people, Airmail, they want you to use their email app. So they've actually paid money to position it above the app we're actually looking for. So that's a sly advertising trick there, Airmail. But we actually want Gmail. So again, I'm going to click my little cloud icon here next to Gmail. That's going to pull down Gmail for us. And that will be the last we need to use of the App Store for this video. Again, it's Google Drive, Google Classroom, and Gmail. And we're going to sign into those 3 accounts with our school Google ID. Not your personal email, but your school ID, right? That's really important. It's a theme through all of our videos, because one thing I see happen a lot with teachers is we tend to get our Google accounts mixed up, and we're signed into different browsers and different places, and our iPad is our personal account, but our iPhone is our school account. It gets all messy. So That is definitely a theme here at Tech Teacher Support, is always make sure you're using one account and it's your school account. So let's pop over to our home screen here. And there we go. Now you remember, this is my main iPad screen. So this is all sort of my personal apps. These are my video making apps, my home, control my home apps, things like that. Page 2 are my education apps. And I have those organized into folders here. But you can see these 3 apps I downloaded are kind of hanging out on their own. So we're going to organize those too. And what we're going to do is one at a time click on these and sign in and get them set up. Then we'll put them in their own folder. So we are essentially on number 4 here, in the last part of number 4, which is sign in. So like I said, Google Drive is the main hub app. Everything revolves around Google Drive. So let's click that one first. So I'm going to start up my Google Drive. And there we go. It has a very simple sign in button. Easy. Let's click that. Now it says choose an account. And on my iPad, it has found 2 Google accounts. But these are my personal accounts, like business accounts. This is not the account. I don't see the account that I use for school. So what I'm going to do, and let me zoom in here, is we have this add another account. So we're going to add our school account into this. And that's important. You also see manage accounts on this device. That would be if you wanted to delete one of these out. Let's say there's a former email you don't use anymore, or maybe some students had to use your iPad, so you can delete theirs out. So that's what that is there for. We're going to use this, add another account, because we need to add our school account. So I'll click on that. And it's going to say, hey, Google Drive wants to use google.com to sign in. Of course, continue. And here we go. So what account are you signing in? Well, again, this is my school account. So it's chris@techteachersupport.com. And that is my school account tied to all of my school work. I'm going to say next. And now it says enter your password. And I'm going to have to do here is move this off the screen. Okay. Perfect. So it signed me into my school account. Let's get that off the screen. And you can see already it's populating all of my files. So we see my Mars rover pics that we used in a previous video. We see some of my thumbnails and some of my templates and things like that. So this is awesome. We are in my school Google Drive. Now, a couple things to see here, and we'll do a whole video on Google Drive, but just to make sure you're in the right account, again, you can go up here in the upper right-hand corner, and you should see your account picture. You can tap on that just to make sure, and it says right here that I am signed in as Chris Kling, chris@techteachersupport.com, which is my school account. Awesome. And so let's click this off, and there we go. We have successfully set up Google Drive. Now the other 2 apps are going to be super simple because we did this one first. All right, so I'm going to hit my iPad home button to go back to my main home page. And next we're going to set up Classroom. So I'm going to click on Classroom. And again, here we are. This is Get Started. And we saw this on the iPhone app. But there's kind of being tricky and signing you up for emails about Google Classroom, which you may want. I personally do not. So I'm going to make sure I unclick that checkbox. And they make it very, very hard and teeny to unclick that. So you probably do not want more emails about Google Classroom. Maybe you do. That's up to you. I'm going to uncheck that and then click Get Started. So let's do that. Now it says choose an account you would like to use. Well, since we already went through the whole sign-in process once, that account has been saved in this window. And if we look in, we see here, it is the very last entry, which is awesome. So I'm going to say, yes, use Chris at Tech Teacher Support for my Google Classroom. All right. And of course, again, it would like to send you notifications, which I always find important. You can always manage which notifications you get, but you want to make sure you're allowing those. So say allow. And here we go. Here are all my classes, periods 1 through 8. And again, I need to personalize these so they don't all look the same, but you can see period 1 science, 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I know that if I click into period 5 science, I should see an announcement with some multimedia that I made. So it's going to pull that down. It's going to give me a little bit of information about what's new in classroom, video meeting, which is a whole nother video. We'll talk about that. But here we are. Here's my 2 announcements to my period 5 students. If I look at my attachments here, I should see, there we go, the Mars rover picture that I posted for the students. So that is awesome. We are into Google Classroom and everything is working great. So I'm going to now do my final app, which is Gmail. And one note about Gmail, again, I use the Gmail app for my school email, and I use the Apple Mail app down here for my personal email. Excuse me. And this is just because when I get a notification on Gmail, I know it's a school email. When I get a notification on Apple Mail, I know it's a personal email. So I tend to separate those as much as I can. And so this Gmail app, we're going to sign in just with our school account and make sure that we're not using our school account on any other email. So Gmail, here we go. And it has a sign in button. You'll notice that all 3 Google apps have a different way of signing in because they're developed by 3 different teams of people, but you would think they'd sort of be on the same page. Anyways, sign in. A brand new manage account screen. We haven't seen this before. Again, this is going to ask you which accounts you want to be active in Gmail. And like we just said, I do not want my 2 personal accounts to be showing up in here. I only want my teacher account. So I'm going to say, no, I don't want my business account. No, I don't want my personal account. And yes, I definitely want my school account. All right. Perfect. And then you're going to want to click this done button up here in the corner. Done. Again, would you like notifications? I obviously love notifications. I need to know when people email me right away. So I will allow that. And then here we go. There's all my email. We don't really need to look through my email, but there's my email, all my Tech Teacher Support email. So we are essentially all done but the organizing here. We signed into Drive with our Google school account, which made it super easy to sign into Classroom and Gmail with our school account. We are set up and ready to go. We just need to organize these a little bit so you don't have a screen full of apps. And what you've seen I've done is I've created a folder here called Google. And that's where I'm going to put all of my Google apps because we're going to end up getting kind of a bunch of them eventually, depending on how your school uses Google Apps. So what I want to do is put these 3 apps into my Google folder. And so I'm going to take my finger and sort of click and hover. And there we go. It's doing a little wiggle. So I'm going to take my Drive and move it over to the Google folder. Do the same thing with my Classroom. And then do the same thing with my Gmail. And you know what? My Google folder is probably one I'll use the most this year. So I'm going to slide that over to the beginning and say done. And now when you look in here, as you can see, I've already made some presentations with slides, and I had to do a few documents with Google Docs. So those I had previously downloaded, and they live in that folder with the 3 apps that we just downloaded as well. So hopefully this video was of some help to you and how to download Google Apps, install them, sign into them with your school account, and organize them a little bit right here on your iPad. So let's flip back over here. Awesome. If you have any questions on what we did today or comments or ideas, You can post them below the video in the comment section. You can also find us at TechTeacherSup on Twitter. You can post your questions or comments there as well. We make videos every day helping teachers out, so if there's something you want us to show you how to do, just let us know and we'll make a video for you. So thank you again for joining us. This is a start to a great week. I hope everyone out there is having fun doing this distance learning and making it really engaging and exciting for the students. So again, if you need more help, you can always find us at techteachersupport.com. And until next time, thank you again for all your support, and I will see you later. All right, bye.